The nurse held onto the scan with shaky hands, silently turning to the doctor. Everyone wanted to see the results, eager to know what was going on, but the nurse hadn't revealed them yet. When they noticed the look of surprise and confusion on her face, they all grew concerned. She only snapped back to reality once they called her name. When he finally took a look at the results, he completely understood her surprise. But before we start our story, smash the like button, make sure to subscribe, and hit the notifications bell so you won't miss any new stories. Living in Cumbria, northwest England, Rob and Shelly Wall lived comfortable and happy lives. The married couple shared two gorgeous daughters, and as far as they were concerned, they were living an idyllic life. They were proud of the way they brought their daughters up. They lived in a beautiful home filled with love. They had so much love to give, and they knew what they had to do to make their lives even better. Rob and Shelly decided that they were ready for a third child. Not long after making this decision, Shelly fell pregnant for the third time. Their entire family was overjoyed. They were hoping to have a boy, and they knew their daughters would love to have a baby brother. Rob always dreamed of having a son that he could bond with over football, which the two girls were not at all interested in. But soon, a trip to the doctor's office would change everything. They went for checkups often, knowing how important it was to regularly check on Shelly and the baby's health. They wanted the best for their baby. Shelly and Rob were confident this time around. After 2 pregnancies, they knew just what they had to do. But they had no idea that this pregnancy would present something they had never dealt with before. One checkup didn't go as well as they had hoped. During this visit, the doctor sadly revealed that their baby boy had an abnormality in his head. He then informed them that the baby only had 2% of his brain. As soon as the doctor gave the couple this news, they knew exactly what they wanted to do next. They didn't hesitate for a second. Rob and Shelly were beyond devastated. They knew that their baby boy's quality of life would be a lot worse than the average person's. The doctor informed them about the kind of life he would live, and it was not easy. Unfortunately, baby Noah grew no brain matter, and he had spina bifida. This meant that his spinal cord did not form properly. But after giving them the news, the doctor revealed a radical proposal. The doctor suggested that it was best for Shelly to get an abortion. This was the most challenging decision Shelly ever had to make. The doctor told them that if they decided to keep baby Noah, he would require around-the-clock care for the rest of his life. To make matters even worse, his life expectancy wasn't very long at all. Did they want their child to live this kind of life? Rob and Shelly thought long and hard about their choices. When they returned home from the doctor's office, they were greeted by their 2 smiling daughters. How were they supposed to break the news to the girls? Their children mattered the most to them, and they never wanted to upset them. But as they looked at their daughters, they had their answer. They were going to bring Noah into the world. Maybe they would have considered abortion if they were younger, but after having their 2 daughters, they knew they would love Noah no matter what. They were willing to do anything for him. During the course of her pregnancy, Shelly was advised to have an abortion 5 separate times, but she made her choice, and Rob supported her all the way. They stood strong through all of it. Even when the horrible news was revealed, they stood together and never looked back. They knew what they had to do for their son. Once Shelly had made her decision, she never looked back, not even for a second. Throughout the entire pregnancy, she was sure of her decision. The odds were against them from the start, and they knew it. But Rob and Shelly never stopped hoping or praying that their son would be strong enough to fight this and make it. Well, it's a good thing they put so much hope and faith in him. On March 6, 2012, Noah came into the world via C-section. Shelly knew what to expect. Doctors had warned the family that their son would be paralyzed from the chest down and could be born with other abnormalities. Despite her fears, Shelly couldn't wait to meet her son for the first time. There were 12 doctors in the operating theater, but as he came into the world, they were given a sign. Noah let out a big, healthy scream the moment he was born, letting his parents know that he had arrived. To give him a fighting chance, a doctor placed a shunt in Noah's skull to drain the excess fluid and relieve the pressure on his brain tissue. His parents could only wait and see how he developed. Shelly and Rob had no expectations for Noah in the early days of his life. They were simply happy that their boy was healthy and happy. What's more, Noah was able to breathe, eat, and drink because his brainstem was intact. He was paralyzed from the waist down, but this never seemed to affect his mood. He was a happy little boy. It made Shelly and Rob wonder how Noah could be thriving with so little of his brain. Noah was developing at a rate that could hardly be explained. Before his birth, doctors warned that he would have severe special needs. Yet he was coming on 3 years old and didn't seem to be behind most kids his age. He was aware of everything going on around him, appeared emotionally intelligent, and he was even starting to talk. Another trip to the doctor's office was required. With Noah collecting milestones like leaves from a tree, his parents wanted to know how his brain looked. A second scan had to be taken. The nurse came back from the other room with the scans and looked visibly shocked. "You're not going to believe this," she said. The doctor took the scan from the nurse and put on his glasses. Fixing them at the top of his nose, he examined the scan. "She's right," he said. "I can hardly believe this." Doctors and nurses are no strangers to bizarre medical phenomena, but they had never seen anything like this. What had they discovered that had caused so much shock? Shelly and Rob couldn't believe what the doctor was telling them. Nobody could have prepared them for the scan that this doctor had. Noah, the boy who had 2% of his brain at birth, now had over 80% of his brain. He had grown his brain back. It was truly a medical miracle. But how? It's a very emotive subject. Some people say you can't grow a brain. Some say his brain was there, all squashed up, so when he's had his shunt fitted, it's gone back to where it should be, Rob told Good Morning Britain. But if his brain was so squashed up, he would have been so severely mentally disabled. So how had Noah's brain grown? Dr. Gregory Scott, a neuroscience researcher at Imperial College London, believed that the shunt had made space for the brain to grow. Yet this was only a theory. Scott couldn't prove it, and thus it shows how little we truly know about one of our most vital organs, the organ that keeps everything ticking, the brain. The brain controls thought, memory, emotion, motor skills, breathing, touch, vision, hunger, temperature, and every single process that regulates our body. But the how behind the miracle of Noah's brain wasn't too important to Shelly and Rob. They were simply delighted by what was, and they knew the next steps to take. To hear his brains almost back to normal is beyond belief, Shelly Wall said. Rob and I broke down when we heard the news. It was like a dream. I've never known anything like it. Even the consultants were in tears. Every time we see the doctors, they just shake their heads. They're just amazed at what he can do, she continued. Noah's parents and older sister Steph, 23, work hard to always be around him. They continually keep his brain stimulated to aid its growth. His family call this brain training. Brain training is also known as cognitive training and is used to maintain and improve cognitive abilities by performing regular activities. By the time Noah was 4 years old, he was able to go to school, could count to 10, read, and talk. He can even use a pen. He has overcome several challenges already that no one thought he would even be capable of, and little Noah wants to become a firefighter when he grows up. Shelly told the Chronicle Live in 2017, Noah's doing amazingly well. He can write. He knows how to spell his name. He can hold a conversation. Noah was quickly proving his doctors and other medical professionals wrong. Nobody could have predicted what would happen next. He has been chatting so much more and pronouncing his words, Shelly explains in the show. He has started writing. He can follow my finger and write his name. His concentration was just unbelievable with the pen. I didn't know that this day would ever come. You can see the excitement, and he knows that he has done something amazing. He amazes us every day. Mr. and Mrs. Wall have dedicated their time to his brain development and have taken him to Australia to a radical brain training center. Noah now wants to learn to walk and wants to continue learning how to surf and even start skiing. Noah's story received a lot of media attention. His story was uplifting and made people hopeful. Noah continues to undergo neurophysics treatment, a combination of physiotherapy and cognitive exercises that include horse riding, surfing, and even skydiving. They even had a belief that Noah would still be able to walk in the future. For the whole family, things appeared to be looking up. Mr. Wall explained that the experts don't usually give the therapy to kids because of the cognitive side of things, but they were lucky enough to be able to persuade them to see and assess Noah and prepare them for when he's old enough to have that cognitive treatment. All in all, the little boy's future looks bright, and his story teaches us an important lesson. Writing on the Hugs for Noah website, Shelly said she hopes Noah's case will raise awareness about the importance of taking folic acid during pregnancy. This can prevent spine and brain defects such as spina bifida and anencephaly. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, women who wish to conceive are advised to consume around 400 micrograms of folic acid per day. Even though I took it, I didn't take it early enough, she wrote. No one told me just how important folic acid was. But that's not all. Without getting into a debate about the ethical arguments around abortion, we can say that Noah's story is one of human hope and positivity. His parents were told that looking after Noah would be tough, and while taking care of him isn't easy, there's not a day that goes by without them thanking their lucky stars. Their boy was a medical miracle.